What's up, folks? The wait is finally over for Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most anticipated games ever. A game that has people split because, it's no secret this game isn't perfect and it has its issues. I am a fanboy of CD Red, but there is no denying the kinks in this game, as I will show you. But this game also shows you the magic. Oxymoronic, I know, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, a little brief warning, I tried to think of a way to do this without spoilers, but with a 6-hour intro, it's just impossible, and I wouldn't be able to explain the story otherwise. I will stay away from what I consider to be the game-ruining spoilers, and I do wish this video could be shorter, but there is just no way. And most importantly, this is from my experience, and I will not be taking anyone else's experience into consideration. Maybe you had more bugs, maybe you had less, maybe yours were more severe or not. I'm just going to be honest to my experience. And if you want to bash it in the comments, go ahead. I'm not going to bat an eye at it. Now, lastly, I will be doing a giveaway for Cyberpunk on any system you so prefer. Just comment below and I will pick the winner in 7 days. And I will either reply to your comment you left, or if you're in my Discord, I will inform you there. Now, as usual, if you enjoy this video, why not subscribe and help me out? And if you would prefer an audio-only version, the link is down below, along with the link to my Discord server. Is Cyberpunk worth the $60 price tag? Well, I'm about to tell you. My name is Tanner, and this is For Your Money, a different kind of review. Before starting this, there is a timestamp in the description. I'm warning you once more of spoilers. Now, you can either click off the video, or you can skip the story section and move on to the gameplay, design, and score. I 100% understand your decision, so I'm going to give you 10 seconds to decide.
This is sin.
Where to begin? Now, I'm going to tell this from my perspective, as there will be quite a few different videos portraying others' perspectives. I was V, a nomadic arms dealer from the Badlands outside of Night City. Now, V left her clan and needed some cash so she could try and make something of herself in Night City. So to do so, she was going to smuggle a briefcase into the city with somebody named Jackie. Now, things go south, like very south, at the checkpoint, causing you and Jackie to run from the law. From there starts your friendship with Jackie and your life of mischief in Night City. Time passes and you're offered a job by a fixer named Dex. The job is to steal a biochip from Arasaka Corporation. Why? You have no idea. All you know is the job pays well, as it is high risk, high reward, considering the chip is in the possession of Yorinobu Arasaka, a man of very high power. Upon carrying out the heist and grabbing the briefcase with the biochip inside, things go south. Another higher authority comes into the picture and they are killed in the same room you're hiding in. Upon escaping, your cover is blown. So now you're the one to blame for their death, but not only that, that briefcase that held the biochip is damaged, meaning it has to be inserted somewhere, and that somewhere is in your body. Here's the kicker. Shortly after escaping the Arasaka Tower, you are killed, and that biochip inside of you helped revive you, but it is also taking over your brain. That chip is none other than the engram of Johnny Silverhand. That chip contained his being, so to say, and now causes V to basically be two people at once. Now, the interesting thing is Johnny has his own feud with the Arasaka Corporation, and seeing as you are the most wanted person in Night City, and your death being seemingly inevitable due to the chip inside your head, you and Johnny are going to work as a team to bring down the Arasaka Corporation and save your life. Or not. That is your choice. This is the first 6 hours of the game. It took me 6 hours to reach the title screen. It took me 6 hours to understand where this story was even headed. And after all that time, all I could do was sit back in shock and awe. I skipped over so many things that added to why this is important to V, why it went from being all about the monies to being personal. Now, the story for this game completely baffled me. Even though you are in control for the most part of the story, CD Red still managed to slide in with their outstanding writing abilities and grab my interest, and it never lit up even in the end. The thing that really makes this story touch deep are the characters. Now, all of them are distinctly different, and not just their personalities, but how they portray themselves, or in some cases, how they do not portray themselves. They don't let much slide at all, surprising us the moment we see them at their worst or best. And finally, the last thing that truly makes this story is just how you handle your character. Let's take Johnny, for example. He's trying to complete his mission, but that biochip is killing you. So you can take the route of holding that grudge on Johnny and take medicine to ignore ignore him, or, like I did, you can listen to his advice. That decision alone affects so much in this story, let alone the three choices from the beginning about starting as a nomad, CEO corp, or being in a street gang. All of those have different effects in dialogue and how you're perceived in the world. This remarkable story is much deeper than anything I could have expected or asked for. Now, lastly, this game's main quest took me about 40 hours to beat. So for me, I personally didn't think it was that short. Now, others may disagree because 40 hours is shorter than The Witcher 3 for sure. But 40 hours, it's honestly a decent time, and it is a perfect story in my opinion. Before I get into the gameplay, I did not explore every aspect in depth. Now, not everything was my playstyle, but I got a good enough feel to talk about them, so just not down to the bone. Now, as I stated in the GIF in the opener, this was on a PC, so my build is an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, an ASRock X570 Phantom Gaming 4, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Super, and 16 gigabytes of Vengeance RAM. Let's get as simple as we can. Creating your character, now the amount of detail is pretty gnarly. You can customize your nail length, nipples, what your preferred genitalia is, cybernetics. I mean, there is so much to do, and what I like is they're all presets, meaning that there is no Bethesda slider where you have to try and sculpt the perfect nose or jawline because, damn, I could never do that. So here we have preset choices that are vast, and I promise you, you're going to be here for quite a while. Now, combat is once again, like everything else in this game, your preference, and this is also the category I got the most questions from my Discord members. Alright, so when I say this game is your preference, I mean you can be a gun wielder, handguns, shotguns, assault. I mean, y'all know the categories. You can give every enemy a wicked shiner if you want, but I don't recommend fisticuffs for the entirety of the game, for that would just be stupid difficult. You can use your cybernetics provided by Ripper Docs, meaning you get abilities, which I'll show off here in a bit, and then the one everyone asks me about. You can straight up be a swords person only. You can go through the entirety of the game with melee weapons only if you so choose, minus the times where you have to shoot a gun out of a vehicle or things along those lines. The gunplay to me at first felt kind of like something new. I didn't know how to describe it, but the more I played, the more it reminded me of a better style of any Far Cry game. It felt way smoother and had slightly more detail to it. You could add mods to give more damage, elemental effects, or an interesting one was a mod that added damage, but it made the weapon non-lethal, so you just incapacitated them instead. As for customizing, you could do sights and muzzle. I never did see anything about camos. Now, all of these things sure may seem a bit small, but they made a huge difference to the gameplay. They made it more fun, obviously in a cynical sense, because blowing someone's head off and then they catch on fire, I mean, us gamers get rather enthusiastic about stuff like that. So yeah, the guns will blow people into bloody bits. Same goes for grenades. Now, not all of them, because the grenade selection is just as crazy with toxic cloud grenades or ones that have lasers popping out of them doing a stupid amount of damage. Now, if you want to go the samurai way, you can also do that as well with a great variety of melee weapons from baseball bats, knives, cleavers, swords, and then these have effects on them too. Now, I never found any melee weapon mods. All the effects I had were just already on the weapon. That's not to say that none exist, but I personally never found any. As for the combat with melee weapons, it is the same as a prosthetic melee or your bare hands. Light and heavy attacks, blocking, and countering. Now, I personally enjoyed the melee combat. It was satisfying to duke it out in a sword fight or some hand-to-hand combat because this game doesn't do cheap shit where enemies pull out weapons if they're losing. No, if they come at you with their fist or blade, they're gonna battle it like that until the end. And the end usually for me was chopping off their arms and head or knocking them out cold and then pulling out my gun and just shooting them because no loose ends. I mean, that's how I played. But this type of combat is not perfect. It is fun, but it is not perfect. You'll have times where the executions will be janky. For me, it was always the body placements for my mantis blades. I would lift them up in the air and the person would be glitching through the blades and my arms. And another thing is sometimes your attacks might not seem like they're connected to the enemy. That's because they're not, but you still dealt the damage. Now, I like the melee combat, but I can't lie, it will take you out of the immersion when something like this stuff happens. Prosthetics are the unique way of gameplay in Cyberpunk. I mean, you have ones that aid you in combat, like the mantis blades I use, or you can get swords, but it also acts as a separate perk system where you upgrade your immunity to damage, increase your carrying capacity by a certain percentage, slow time down while dodging and aiming, allowing you to hit your enemies more precisely. I mean, it is just such a wide field whenever you get into the subject of this game's cybernetics, because there are so many, and I obviously did not find them all, or even the coolest ones, but what I had allowed for a better gameplay experience that I could honestly say I've never had before. Next up for the gameplay, we have the hacker route. Whoa, there's hacking. Yeah, there is hacking, and honestly, I liked it better than Watch Dogs. You have a scanner in your eye that allows you to see enemies and electronics. All of these can be hacked considering the fact that these enemies have implants just as you do. So you can do things like obstruct their eyesight or shock them, cripple their movements. I mean, it's cool things like that. But all of these are limited by your operating system. Yep, you have one of those inside you just like a normal computer would. These have a base RAM limit, and those limitations are what dictates if you can perform certain hacks. Now, though I love the hacking, I did not mess around with the operating system that much because I wanted to leave that for another playthrough so I could just use a different style, making it a whole new game to me. But what I did mess with, I was honestly left impressed. Now, this does not come without glitches. Whenever you pop up your scanner, as you can see, your screen turns green. Now, twice I was not able to exit this mode. First time, I was able to die and it reset. The second time, I had no way to die, so I had to reload a previous save. Leveling up in this game I thought was rather simple. Now, the first time opening up your level menu, it's going to seem overbearing just like any game would, but once you understand your playstyle, it's a mere cakewalk. First and foremost, we have these categories: reflexes, technical abilities, body, cool, and intelligent. These 5 categories act as though similar to Fallout. Upgrading these will open more dialogue options that will offer different ways to go about your current mission, and some of them, like your body for example, are needed to operate certain weapons. Now this is where you really cater your character's playstyle. Reflexes, for example, has the 3 skill trees of handguns, assault rifle, and swords, whereas the body contains a tree called Annihilation that's geared towards your LMGs and shotgun, as well as Street Brawler that is dedicated to fist fighting and blunt melee weapons such as bats and batons. Now, when leveling up, you'll be awarded 2 different types of points. Skill points, which obviously level up the skills inside each of the traits I mentioned, and then attribute points, which will level up one of those 5 attributes. Now, I cannot stress this enough to be smart in how you spend these points. For the first while, I messed around and upgraded random things, and that did not help me at all. For a while, I was stuck in limbo of, damn, I can't do that. Way to go, Tanner. Should have spent your points smarter. The looting in this game is similar to how it is in pretty much every game. Common to epic standards are here, and most games like this tend to work. Your best loot is found by completing a quest or finding it on a dead body. There really isn't anything unique about looting, it's just the same old system we see in most games done correctly. Now you do also have the option of crafting. Now I didn't meddle here as much because honestly if I don't have to craft in a game, I'm not going to craft, and I didn't have to. But you can create ammo, weapons, upgrade your weapons, etc. I mean, you can pretty much craft your entire loadout and everything to supply that loadout. But crafting does take quite the bit of materials that you'll either loot from dead bodies, find in random boxes, or just altogether buy off any merc. Now for the exciting part, the world of Night City. Now Night City may seem small when you look at a map of the game, but that is quite the opposite due to just how deep everything goes. There are tons of alleyways leading to hidden areas. You have areas above street level, areas outside of Night City. I mean, say what you want, but this is one of the most impressive game maps I've ever had to traverse, as well as the easiest map I've gotten lost in due to just how intricate each path is. Getting around Night City is up to you on how you're going to do it. However, I do not recommend fast traveling. I get it, you want to get from point A to point B, but it's really going to take away from the game. Driving is one way to do it, either by car or motorcycle. Driving took me a little while to get used to because at times it can feel jank, but overall it's fine. It does the job, it's fine, it can be fun. I chose first person over third person for my driving preference because when I drove, it was mainly on a bike, and honestly, I didn't like how the third person animations looked. Now here I also encountered another bug that actually lasted the entire game. My radio never worked. I would try to go pick a radio station and the screen would be prompt and I could never select one. I just had to close out the menu and sit in silence. Now if you want to get the most out of Night City, you just walk. I mean, walking down one street in this game can result in finding some collectibles, a few NCPD crimes for you to stop and get paid for, about 5 to 7 side missions. That was literally all from one street out of the gross amount in Night City. Now, some of the open world things you can do is steal and drive any car, killing innocents, which results in a crime scene investigation or an instant wanted level, bounty hunting, visiting many different shops for literally anything. And I mean anything from your next meal to your next roommate, so to say. Night City has everything to offer us, a game dedicated to all of player interest. Gameplay has its gratifying moments, more so than not in my personal opinion. I had bugs that weren't ideal by anyone's standards, but I still managed to push past them and have a blast with the combat and just exploring Night City as a whole. Though I push past these bugs, that does not mean I'm going to ignore them. I have a section coming up dedicated to most of the bugs I encountered. But when all said and done, I can truly say that I had tons of fun moments and all the features that come with gameplay. The design for Cyberpunk is, it's honestly unique. Now, I can't think of a game, and don't bash me if I'm wrong, that has the same feel as The Fifth Element or Blade Runner to the extent that this one does. A city that has the most lived in environments I've ever seen. Flying cars, walkways high above city level. It's an interesting idea that a lot of us enjoy. Graphically, this game looks superb. Let's forget about the glitches for a second. This game genuinely has an outstanding look. Very nice lighting that had me looking around like a kid in a candy shop. Diversity in people out the wazoo. Extensive detail to humans, car interiors, just the entire environment overall. Now, with the bugs being considered, it does take away from the beauty. Play-Doh people and cars, they're just not nice. Unless we're talking about the boat people from Spider-Man, that's a funny little touch. But something that does help is going into your settings and just play around with them. Now, this isn't going to help everybody, of course, but for me, crowd density on the PC was my best friend for the Play-Doh effects. It didn't 100% nullify that, but it made it occur a lot less. Voice acting was supreme as all get out. Tough not to think so, really. We have tons of big actors, especially Keanu in this one. But one of my issues that I had with this game was sometimes during the dialogue, the character that was talking would skip ahead. They would be in the middle of a sentence, and then right before it was over, their next sentence would kick in, overlapping their previous one, so now you're listening to two sentences at one time. The soundtrack. Now, CD Red's music I enjoyed, but like I said, my radio didn't work the entirety of the game, so I didn't get the full soundtrack experience. Not that I could, really show that anyways due to copyright issues. So, without further ado, here are finally some clips of the overall design.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our souls.
Might be right. Can't really argue with you there.
V, I've declared war not because capitalism's a thorn in my side or out of nostalgia for an America gone by. This war's a people's war against a system that spiraled out of our control. It's a war against the fucking forces of entropy. Understand? Do whatever it takes to stop them, defeat them, gut them. If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it.
started to move. Remember to be careful or you will face Arasaka drones. I also spotted the Netrunner in an Arasaka uniform. She's somewhere, hidden.
Okay, good to go.
Then let us begin.
Now, as I said, I am dedicating a whole section to bugs. Now, I experienced quite a bit of bugs during my time playing. Some not so bad, and others, yeah, they were quite annoying. So I'm going to list a good bit of the bugs I had, and I won't show the gameplay for all of them because I'd have to sift through 60 to 80 hours of gameplay just to show this one bug for like 5 seconds. So I had pop-in graphics, pop-in NPCs, someone walk through my car, Play-Doh people in vehicles, a pole in my car, dying after jumping on a parked vehicle, glitched in a driver's seat when I was not the driver of the vehicle, my map and inventory menus were blacked out, I couldn't see a thing and had to reload to save, some executions were jank, I got stuck in scan mode, enemies glitching in and out of an elevator, random floating objects. Now, there are more, but these are the ones that really stuck with me. So here, in my opinion, meaning yours can very well be different, there are a good bit of bugs and glitches. But this is one of the most dense games ever. What did people expect? It is the most lived-in world I've ever seen. What did people expect? Now, I get it. Do not get me wrong. It is a bummer. We waited 8 years and we got more bugs than we wanted. A lot more, yes. But as for my experience, I never crashed. I never had any game-breaking bug. I did have those 2 bugs that resulted in me dying and reverting to the last save, but I didn't think it ruined my game as I was too entangled in the story to break my monitor and request a refund for those inconveniences. Now look, I also do consider myself very lucky because I know people are having way worse bugs that are game-breaking, causing them to die randomly, not traverse the map as they should be able to, especially whenever you take into the account the PS4 and Xbox One base models. It's not good news for anyone, and I don't want anyone to get me wrong because I respect all that anger. I respect all of that. I would be the same way if I waited for 8 years and this is what I got. But I have to review this from my own experience, and that is exactly what I have done. For Cyberpunk 2077, to me, this game is worth $40 out of $60. I really do love what this game had to offer when it comes to the story and for the most part gameplay. Now this game is absolutely littered with a great amount of bugs that I refuse to ignore, especially when you see CD Red attached to its name and the fact that it was in development for 8 years. But I get why they had tons of bugs. It should have been pushed back again. Y'all aren't going to like this, but despite the fact gamers would have been mad, but it would have resulted in a better outcome for the game and for the company. Now, I still love CD Red, no doubt about it, and the moment these bugs are fixed, I'm going to hop back on here and I'm going to do a video telling you how it's worth the $60 out of $60. But until then, I stand by my $40 score, and I also do advise all base console gamers to simply just pass until further updates have been put out. I mean, this is sad to say. I hate saying base console players need to pass, but I have seen that version, and it is not worth your time at all. That's all I got, folks. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? Otherwise, hit that thumbs down. Till next time, fellas.